Our World in Data released a report on happiness a couple years ago, and this was just shared with me, so I decided, we'll do a little bit of philosophy here, but I thought it was fascinating. So this data is actually quite old, but we can see something really interesting in how men and women react to different life moments in different ways. And it appears that happiness correlates exactly with some modern stereotypes about marriage and life and divorce and layoffs and stuff. So what I wanted to do is take a look at this and just talk about men-women relationships, science and stuff. I did a segment the other day. There was a study released recently that found that for men and women, they're more likely to report a sexual advance as harassment or assault if the individual is ugly. And that played right into stereotypes and tropes, and sure enough, data backs it up. They also found that there was another study I cited from May, that in countries that are more gender equal, that men and women still have the same, are still attracted to the same things. Basically, even in gender equal countries, women are attracted to high earners and men are attracted to beautiful women. Well, now we have the effect of life events on life satisfaction chart. I saw someone tweet this and I thought it was fascinating, so I wanted to go through it because, lo and behold, men and women report happiness and unhappiness differently. And it typically seems that most people are kind of unhappy for some reason or another. But let's read this. And there's some more data I want to show on how the media affects unhappiness because, yeah, it does. Thanks, media. Everybody's always angry. So this chart says, in each individual plot, the red line marks the estimated effect of the corresponding event at a given point in time. Whiskers denote the range of confidence around estimates. Time is labeled so that 0 marks the point when the event took place. Negative and positive values denote years before and after the event. All estimates control for individual characteristics, so the figures show the effect of the event after controlling for other factors, such as changes in income, etc. And what did we learn? We learned some really fascinating things from this. Let's take a look at unemployment. On women. Women typically, so here's 0 in terms of their life satisfaction. Women, 4 years before unemployment, are noting a general low life satisfaction, below 0, meaning slightly negative. We can see that here, where the red line is the moment they become unemployed. From the year before to the year of unemployment, there's a noticeable downturn, the years going into unemployment, meaning something may affect what this woman is going through before becoming unemployed. And if they're controlling for other factors, it may seem that there is a correlation between women becoming less satisfied with life and then becoming unemployed. This is not a layoff. Layoff is separate. We can then see a year later, they're a little happier, but all around, women reporting low life satisfaction when they're unemployed for years afterwards. That's kind of crazy. Now, here's what's really interesting. We can see that even when they are employed and after they're unemployed, they're unhappy. But check this out. Marriage, the 2 years leading up to marriage are a general increase in positive life satisfaction for women. The year of marriage, they're noting a nearly 4, a range of 2 to 4 in terms of life satisfaction. Now, those numbers are a bit arbitrary, but it basically means that women are a lot happier the year they're getting married than any year where they're employed or unemployed. So when it comes to employment, women note a general dissatisfaction, whereas marriage, the first year, the year they get married, they're very happy. The next year, they're pretty happy. And then following that, they have a pretty neutral life satisfaction. That to me is absolutely fascinating because it shows that marriage relates to a positive life satisfaction, and employment and unemployment both correlate with dissatisfaction. I could be getting that wrong, but men are absolutely the same way on unemployment, but even more negatively impacted by unemployment. I'm not trying to insinuate that women would be happier married. No, the same is true for men. Marriage correlates a positive experience and unemployment a negative experience. But what's interesting here is that it seems that men, while they are generally less satisfied with work before being unemployed, unemployment results in a massive drop in life satisfaction that doesn't seem to recover for the most part. It doesn't. Now, what's really interesting about marriage and men, I know most of you watching are dudes, check this out. The years leading up to marriage, which means dudes are dating, they're sleeping around, they're pretty satisfied. Look at this. Even 4 years before marriage, they are generally satisfied around 1. Then they go up to 2. The numbers, again, are a bit arbitrary. It's just showing you scale. We can see that the year before marriage, men are pretty satisfied. But here's what's interesting. It actually goes down the year they get married and then goes down after that. Wait, what? How does this make sense? How is it that guys are happier before marriage and then after marriage? What this said to me, and the reason why I want to do this video, is it says that if you give men the opportunity, they will not get married. You know why? They're happier unmarried. And women seem to be happier married. Only a little bit. Actually, I take that back. Men are slightly more satisfied with life than women, but we can see that the years before marriage, men are much more satisfied than women are. It says to me that right around the time of marriage, women are extremely happy they've gotten married, and men are kind of like, I guess I got married. So here's what happens. Our society tells people not to get married, not to have families, not to have kids, and guess what? Guys are like, sign me up. You know, I don't got to be responsible for anybody. I can do whatever I want, no strings attached. Sounds like a lot of guys are going to do that. And as our culture starts pushing for that, don't be surprised when life satisfaction, this correlates with men choosing not to get married, not to have kids, and the birth rate goes down. Now, here's what's interesting. Divorce seems to be a great thing for everybody. Women are slightly less satisfied with life just before divorce. After divorce, they're still, but a couple of years later, life's pretty good, right? For men, whoa, dudes, don't get married. Wow, this is crazy. Look at this. The years leading up to divorce, men are super unhappy, and it's going down and down every year. The year the divorce happens is a major spike up in their life satisfaction. How does this make sense? Well, I think when you compare divorce and marriage from men are happier before being married, slowly become less, or I should say they're satisfied with life before marriage, but the year they get married, it goes down, and then it goes down from there, and the years before divorce seem miserable, but sure enough, once dudes are single again, they're now satisfied with life. That to me is amazing. Sounds to me like dudes should not get married, and I'll give you another reason why you shouldn't get married. I mean, you should get married and have a family. It's a responsible thing to do, and you want to pass down your values on your kids, but it looks like if you want to be happy and selfish and more, egotistical, which I'm not saying you shouldn't do, you're free to do so, you don't get married, right? And that's what I've learned from TV, but check this out. Widowhood. The 2 years before widowhood, this is really weird. The life satisfaction for a woman goes down the year before widowhood. So what happens in the average widow's life that everything gets really bad? Are you like killing your spouse or something? Check this out. One of the lowest drops in satisfaction is the year someone loses their spouse. For both men and women, it's the same. And I can imagine that people are generally satisfied with life, men a little bit more than women. And when your significant other dies, that's like your life satisfaction is gone. Now, it takes women a year to recover about 70 or 80% back up. And then 2 years later, they're fully recovered and life gets a little bit better. It's just about the same as true for men when they lose their spouse. It's really crazy that men could be so satisfied before marriage and unsatisfied afterwards, so satisfied before divorce and so satisfied afterwards, but losing their spouse just cripples them in terms of satisfaction. So I think it shows that men might not be overwhelmingly satisfied, but I think it shows that both men and women truly love the people they're with. And it's more, when people get married, it's more than just, love as the emotion. It's also the importance of the other person. And you can be ambivalent, in the sense that you can have conflicting emotions about the person you love. You might hate somebody, but still love them. I think we can see that losing your spouse is truly devastating. And even if someone might be happier divorced, they really do find significance in their partner. It's kind of sad. Now, here's another thing that's interesting. When it comes to the birth of a child between men and women, they both report basically the same level of satisfaction. They're more satisfied with life before having kids, and after having kids for years, they are less satisfied. That to me is worrisome. It says to me that given the choice to not have kids and not be married, guess what? Everybody gonna do it. No one's gonna have kids, no one's gonna be married. The thing is, marriage and family are a responsibility. It's you taking charge of what the future is going to be. In a truly free society, I believe that people will drift towards narcissism, pleasuring. And what that means is they're not going to get married, dudes especially, and they're not going to have kids. And that means that a truly free society in that way will eventually cease to exist. Now, there's one more interesting point, and I'll keep this one short. I'll jump over to the media one in a second. Layoffs tend to be like, for guys, like, layoffs aren't too happy. Like you go down in satisfaction. Women tend to be really happy by layoffs. Like layoffs improve their life satisfaction. So I think, for the most part, we see that men and women are actually kind of similar in a lot of ways, except for marriage and layoffs. Men are happier before marriage. Women are a little bit happier before marriage, but then both men and women get kind of dissatisfied after marriage. But men are not super satisfied after being laid off. Women actually see a decent improvement in their satisfaction. There's just one last tidbit I'll add in the Our World in Data. They say that a number of studies have found that there is a link between emotional exposure to negative content in news and changes in mood. Johnson and Davey in 97, for example, conducted an experiment in which they edited short TV news to display positive, neutral, or negative material, and then showed them to 3 different groups of people. The authors found that the people who watched the negative clips were more likely to report a sad mood. And I'll end by saying, who are the people being inundated with social justice negativity nonstop all day and night? The left. Who is being inundated with jokes, humor, silliness, irreverence? Trump supporters. It's not perfect. The left has their happy-go-lucky stories, and the right has their horrifying danger stories. But for the most part, when you look to American politics, the right is making jokes, they're laughing, they're being silly, and the left is criticizing and scolding. I think you'll see that people would prefer to drift towards happiness, but in the end, it's more about, I think the media is the reason why we see, the left is typically unhappy. Axios reported that poll that said the Democrats are made angry by everything, and Republicans less so. But I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think about all of this. I think we find that men and women are actually very similar in many ways, but the data shows us the trends we're seeing. This data is from 2008. Sure enough, 11 years later, we have a drop in birth rates, a drop in marriage. Men aren't working because I'll tell you what, that shows us men are happier not married, and both men and women are happier without kids. And there it is. I guess that's how we go out. A glorious bang of self-congratulatory pleasuring. I'll see you on the next segment, which is coming up in just a few minutes.